and the glass doesn't leak. It'll strip you of your logic while the world's asleep. You are playing the market, you're the feast on the plate, and the legend doesn't lie when it seals your fate. Then the screen bled black with a velvet sheen, a lone boss stuttering predatory. Pick a silhouette of words and a pinch drop of whistles, with a voice like a grift and a tongue full of whistles. Salutations, he hissed, I'm down out. Detect the craving and I engineer the high. You've been mainlining hope on a high, it's low. Now I've come to repossess everything you own. Oh, the house never blinks and the glass doesn't weep. It'll strip you of your logic while the world's asleep. You are playing the market, you're the feast on the plate, and the legend doesn't lie when it seals your fate. Lost everything's recreation, control. Here I've got a message from the very she's so my son's verse, power is a relic. He sneered with a grin. I've mapped every fracture and I'm calling right. One tap for the needle, two taps for the rope, three taps to trade your rent for a thimble of hope. Yeah, I know the gates are clear, but my brother Chris said there's no more shining good to tell us. Small but my status, so the folks see us tennis. The dentist for the bank, it wasn't metal first choice. See, this wasn't to a dentist in the waters. Hey, the house never makes and the gas doesn't leak. It'll strip you of your logic while the world's asleep. You won't play in the market, you're the feast on the plate, and the legend doesn't lie when it seals your fate. Offer the promise of venomous levy, wager your survival, that's the only cure. I force a hollow laughter, mask the mountain dread, while the digits in my battles turn to violent red. Offending the streets of my heart and the truth, baby, I get shot by the plane of the rules. Just a Chinese and a bird, it's not a train, it was a cheat, it's just a bird, and the earth is sick and problem, not a penis, it's a China in a Pluto.
And good morning, everybody. Hello, Damien. Glad you're first one in line this morning. It's truly much appreciated. Now I'm starting with a little Gatorade. I was a little dry this morning, so I needed that in my life. So how's the morning treating everyone this Saturday, February the 7th? Man, it has been quite the week, I tell you. I couldn't ask for a better week, honestly, really, truthfully. And wow, so much happens whenever you actually make a decision to do a thing, you know? And then I did, and I have, and I am. So it's like, okay, wow. You're going to see a whole lot of stuff in the online worlds, sort of from me, but definitely from the 1929 Hotel Seville here in Harrison, Arkansas, because a lot of things are happening there, and it's awesome. Oh, that was the note I need. Let me make this note real quick, because it's one of those things. It's like got like a million and one things going on in my head right now. So I'm like, dude, don't forget this part. So I don't want to forget this again. Gotta make my note. I gotta make a Walmart run once I get off the air, and I gotta pick up some glue, and because I need glue. Glue is important, and as you can see, this glue has been exhausted. But anyway, again, locally with the Hotel Seville and its new owner. I want to stress that, new owner. This guy, I tell you what, he has a genuine, better than vision. He has a mission, and it's a great one. It truly is. I've over the decades now that I've been here and I've done things, I tell you what, this one I like a lot. It has all the things I could ever want to be a part of happening. And so my role was simply, marketing and promotion. Well, advertising, marketing, and promotions for the Hotel Seville. And I'm very excited about it, because the best thing with Mike, which I'll introduce you more to him through their own stuff and some stuff here too. Guy's got, man, he's a good dude. It really is. Very, very good dude. So, da, 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 da. Oh, wow. Breaking 3 toes and not realizing you did it. That sucks, but I can honestly see how that can happen. It can go from like perhaps a stub toe situation and not realizing exactly how extreme that is. Man, wow. Well, I hope she gets to feeling better just soon, and do yourself a favor and don't call her Hop Along, okay? One day I'll pay for that. I know. Sorry, man. I was dry as a bone. I needed that. I really, really did. So we finally got the interview or the conversation and questions with U.S. Senate candidate Micah Ashby in the can yesterday evening. Had some weird audio things happen. I think it was no, no, somewhere in translation things happened and she got a little robotic. But I'm going to see what I can do in post production today to clean that up, because again the tools have come a long way, so hopefully I can get that cleaned up to get a better presentation. But still, even with the robot voice, it was nice hearing her positions on questions that were supplied by the online audiences. And she was very forthcoming in everything. And some of my own questions that, again, it's like the way the public square is now and the things that are in front of our faces is just, yeah, it's just kind of, it's just I just gotta, again, here we go. Now, when we talk about like the e-files and everything that have been dropped and everybody's commenting and talking and people named and claimed and all that, um, I would never want to downplay the accusations that are made, because I, for one, am firmly convinced that when it comes to the evils that men do, it is more real than people would ever want to acknowledge in their day-to-day normal lives. Because if you're not impacted or affected by such as the human and child trafficking for various reasons, it's real, man. That stuff is happening and been happening for a very, very, very long time. And I hope people will understand that while all of this stuff is getting thrown in people's faces and wearing you out again with all the doom and gloom and the, oh, well, we knew that was, yeah, okay, well, no, you didn't. And if you did, shame on you for not trying to do something about it. I don't know, but it's crazy, because I know, like, here in town, and I don't remember how long it's been, but it's been well over a decade now that we've had the Grandma's House facility, which it's one of those places that I would love to see their mission be accomplished to a point where they weren't necessary, but unfortunately they are very necessary. And having worked with, like I said, I've done some promotional stuff for them over the years, as well as you know, just understanding what all they do and working with the prosecutor's office, man, I'll tell you, it is a dark, dark world. And I loathe everything about people who hurt children. And again, it's that saying, Jesus can forgive them. That's on him. Me personally, uh, I'm not in the, just stay out of my lane, because there's no sympathy for me when it comes to the people who finally get busted in that sphere, because you don't hurt a child. And that's where, like, when it comes to my own personal take on things that have transpired since 2020, there are people who mandated a lot of really bad things that have impacted children for a couple generations for sure, and more if we don't help these generations um, understand that what they experienced over the 5-year period that was the pandemic, that's not how it has to be ever again, you know. So, actually, again, I don't care to rant too much in those spaces of a morning coffee time, but it's very top of mind right now, and you'll see why soon. But for all the good reasons, because again, it's like you can't take down evil if you don't go head to head with it, and I'm all about it. So, because again, we're empowered to do so, and we can. But anyway, and then of course the other biggest thing going on this weekend is the big foosball game, where two teams are going to do what two teams do during foosball, and then of course competing halftime shows, with the official one with the Super Bowl, the other one with Kid Rock and TP USA, to where they're battling it out for the eyeballs and the numbers. And again, it's funny because I'm not like a big, huge Kid Rock fan at all. I appreciate some of his attitude, some of the tunes over the years, because I like that drive that's going on there. But so I'm not like a huge fan or anything. So I don't know. But what we should see happen? We should have, and I think we'd have to do some serious arm twisting to get him to do it, just because of time. But would it be cool if Gar hosted a horrible horror halftime show? I'd tune in, guaranteed. And I hope to join him tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern, right? So 7 o'clock Eastern, that's 6 o'clock Or do I have that back? I don't know why I'm screwing that up. I should absolutely positively know that. But Horrible Horror tonight on Twitch TV with Gar the Ghoul. Looking very forward to, again. I don't get to chat as much because I'll have it on over here on this wonderful little screen, and be able to watch and enjoy the show and read some of the comments. And I don't necessarily get to kick in comment wise as much as I would. Hey, there he is. Hey, Gar, here's what we need you to do. You're going to save the world. How? You twisting your arm right now, buddy boy. How about say you put on an official Horrible Horror halftime show to compete with all the other halftime shows that are popping up everywhere? Because I know you'd do a better job and people would walk away after that halftime show feeling incredibly awesome because it was Gar the Ghoul's Horrible Horror halftime show. I don't know. I'm just saying. Yeah. Ah, come on. It'd be fun. I mean, can you imagine though if we had something like that? I don't know. Maybe for 2027. I don't know. We can all collab on something that would just be a wonderful spoof on the whole insanity of it all. You know what? That'd be okay. 30 minutes of you telling the Purple Wombat joke, that would be just fine. Because the best thing about the Purple Wombat joke being told by Gar the Ghoul on Horrible Horror's halftime show, it would be pure. I like the sound of that. I truly do. But yeah, Gar, like I say, it's been quite the week, my friend. A lot of things materializing, getting me kicked back into full-on advertising, marketing, promotion guy gear in the coolest way possible. Because with this particular outlet, the 1929 Hotel Seville, it's awesome because there's a staff and a team that can do a lot of things. And so I get to just focus on creating the messaging that gets people's attention. And that's like really a weird space. I think I touched on this yesterday, but it's like so weird that to do, in essence, one thing instead of like 100 things all at once. So it's pretty cool. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh, let's see. Where? Oh, goodness gracious. Good. Yeah, I vaguely remember, but I do remember. See, the name Purple Wombat in and of itself, that's like a copyright trademark thing you should totally do. You should have like your own line of horrible horror clothing and accessories. The Purple Wombat, you remember like the alligator shirts of the 80s, or then the Psycho Bunny stuff that came out sometime in this century, I believe. But you have the Purple Wombat line of clothing and accessories. That could be fun. There I go again, but that's just that advertising, marketing, promotion mind of mine. But I'm looking forward to some really cool stuff. Been hanging out there um, frequently over the past few days since we inked the deal. Kind of working on getting the vibe of the place, because again, it's really awesome for me because it's given me the opportunity to really focus in on being a writer first. And so just kind of roaming the halls, observing the people, not in a creepy stalker way, maybe in a creepy stalker way, I don't know. That's on them if they feel that way. But just kind of observing things and really drinking it in. And I forgot, honestly, how cool, well, process wise, as a writer, to be able to absorb the stories in the walls, and start working on pulling them out. And again, been here for 18 years now. So the Seville, of course, has been here for almost 100. You're looking at so many stories collected, and my awareness of the place, hello, it's there. But to know where it's going now, and it has a new vision, mission, and direction that I'm really, really, really excited to be a part of, because there's so much good happening with it on so many different levels. And I'm working on mapping the story, and that's great to me. Oh my gosh. Let's see here. Let me get this where I can see the chat just a little bit better. There we go. Well, that's cool. That worked out. So, oh, I remember that. Yep. There's nothing better than when you crack yourself up. I mean, it's like it's the best laid joke ever, because by golly, if it makes you laugh, there you go. Sadly for me, the only thing that gets me nowadays over the past few years, I think it's like that ingrained thing in childhood, like with the Three Stooges, the slapstick stuff. Um, I'll scroll on TikTok and I'll watch humans do remarkably stupid things where they not fatally, but they definitely knock themselves around or do remarkably stupid things to one another in the form of a game. I think it may have been some Korean creators that like started. Well, I don't know if they started it, but it was first I started seeing where they would do something like a challenge type thing, like to ring a bell, and whoever missed it or whatever missed the cue, then they get sucked in the head with something. Now, in a lot of ways, you want to see it be like just a pool noodle, but these folks would like smack themselves with a leather belt right across the head. And I can't apologize, but I'd just be crying, laughing, watching these numbnuts do this. And there's all kinds of stuff like that. It's like it's stupid because I'm like I would never do that, and I guess that's the appeal. Because yeah, I would never, never, never in a million years dream of doing those type of things to myself for entertainment purposes. But man, is it funny to me. And sort of like there was that one viral video a few winters back where the guy, and man, it was funny. He started to slip on ice, and then he just went all in on it because he was like a cartoon character. Man, he was just the feet were kicking and he was running in place, doing everything he can to hold his. And my God, that was so funny to me. And he went for at least a good minute, minute and a half before just physics took over, and he wiped out. But man, he was in it to win it. God, that was so funny to me. Mm, yeah. Oh, the Money Pit, Tom Hanks. Yes. Let's see, the Money Pit, where the bathtub falls through the second floor to the. Yeah, there you go. That was a fun too. That was a fun movie back then. I remember when movies like that, the kind of throwaway flicks, but had the name guy in it, like Tom Hanks and Shelley Long, and those are just fun. I don't see those type of flicks anymore, or I'm not aware of them if they are coming out. But again, like I say, the entertainment space has changed so much. It's hard to say. Yep, it's the little things, man. I tell you, it's so funny because I can't think of a movie in a long time that sincerely cracked me up. It's I don't know why that is exactly. Maybe it's not that funny. Maybe my sense of humor is I don't know, just been evolved or changed in some way. But there are certain, but again, like the TikTok world, everybody can have their opinions, but my algorithm is okay. I get the funny stuff for the most part, and there's some great stand-up comics out there doing good stand-up comic as far as like being topically relevant with observations that we're putting the spin in observations that are funny, but still make you think like a good comedian should. And there's some really good stuff out there. The music that's out there, as far as we say they're indie artists, but there's some great stuff. There's just been a few that have come down. I'm like, man, wow, just like really good. There's this one young man, I cannot remember his name to save my life, but he gives me a Paul Williams vibe. Paul Williams from the Temptations, mind you, not the other Paul Williams, the little freaky dude from the '70s, but that real R&B drive. It just a nice, just enough rasp in his voice and a soul delivery that is just amazing. I just absolutely love it. But again, his name slipped my head. But I've shared it on the Facebook land because it's such good stuff. I mean, my goodness, it's good stuff. And you can find it out there. It just, we don't have that centralized focal point because that's the business side of everything that's still in place, but it's whatever. It's sort of like this halftime show um, being hosted by a guy named Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny. I know nothing of that particular performer. From what I've heard, I'm not wanting to go out of my way to go like remove any confusion or dang, I gotta make another note real quick. Pardon me, guys. Again, it's like I got so much going on that as the notes actually come through, I want to make a note of it. Gotta do this. This is important because it's like, yeah, again, processing like a million and one things at once. And so it's like, oh, yeah, and I make that note so I can take care of a few little crumbs that are out there that are like, man, dude, get that done. Cat videos are good. A husky and a cat are looking out an open door at the feet of snow. The dog leaps over and into the snow. The cat doesn't. Yeah, it's like it's the little things. Um, I just, gosh, um, there's one with like this big Rottweiler type dog, and he's staring at the door, and like there's this, well, he's standing outside of the door, and there's like a little chihuahua just raising nine kinds of hell at him and everything. And then the door opens, and the reaction from the chihuahua is golden. Is it real? Is it AI? I don't know, but it's funny. That erp. I like the erp. Yeah, it's funny, Gar. You mentioned Jim Stafford, and that's one of the things up here, living in the Ozarks, Harrison, Branson area with Stafford. I've only kind of sort of worked with him once, which I'm always like just so like really. There are many times inside of my career that I've had the opportunity to work with certain folks that are the ones that everybody knows, like Stafford. And you talk about just a consummate performer, a little dry when not performing. Some may say and it's like anybody, you've got like a-hole traits, But Stafford was cool. I think the first that was back in maybe, gosh, I can't even remember what year now. Anyway, it's been over 10 years. But we had there was somebody doing a thing at his show or at his theater there in Branson, and yeah, and it was all part of the thing. So I don't know, it was just cool, and just to think, I've had a wonderful life to have the opportunity to have done so many really cool things. Like another thing, and I mentioned this to you guys the other day. I brought it up about our local TV now radio personality Dan Reynolds having really dove into doing really good Star Wars original series fan fiction stuff. And apparently, one of the films that he did with the crew and everybody, along with Glenn Wolf, um, the running bear, walking wolf. Sorry, guys, it's early. But anyway, but that one, it was, yeah, the walking bear, running wolf. Anyway, I shared the link the other day. Anyway, it's getting entered into another film fest contest thing, and it was kind of cool because that on that one I had worked sound and like held the boom mic too, and it was really cool. I loved doing that. It was so awesome. Again, it's like in my world space and everything. When I get the opportunity to just focus in on one thing versus a thousand things, I truly drink in those moments and the freedom to be able to just be able to be in it and the one thing and not having to think about a thousand things at once. But I hope that goes well at the festival because the actors there did really good, and I guess it's another one of those little things when you see your name in the credits on such. I don't. I've never been one to chase for awards myself and stuff like that. I'm not worried about that. But it's cool being a part of a cast and crew, and you again name when you get to see the names of the credits. I just like that. Yeah, Jim's still alive, but unfortunately for Jim, things really kind of took like that dark turn. Been a few years now, but unfortunately, his son had gotten caught up in drugs, and it eventually led to his total fatal demise. And as such, Jim just locked down. He was done. Decided to, at that point, it was just time to retire. And so he has. And what's even just more terrible is that the Jim Stafford Theater has been completely leveled now. I don't know if anything started to rebuild over there yet, but the theater's completely gone. The sign is still out. Last check when we were driving down the strip, and it was just so iconic. The Stafford Theater, Jim sign, and so much. But one thing that's cool though is like when Jim decided to retire and close the theater and all that. One of our local guys here, Rick Schoenberger with Backstreet Trader, by however means it came about. I don't know if it was an auction or whatever, but Rick was able to acquire some of the stage props and stuff that were the really cool stuff. And so one day I'll have to get by there and like put together a piece on that because it's really cool. It was the stage used stuff. Um, and it's like a very niche thing. You're the only people who are probably interested in purchasing it. You'd have to be a big Jim Stafford fan, or if your name is Jim, it could be some really cheeky stuff to have. So I don't know. I may, yeah. Oh, let's see here. But yeah, just kind of checking all this stuff out. Well, and that's the thing, as far as like a historical society saving some of the places in Branson, a lot of them. I mean, truth be told, when everything really blew up there in the '80s with Glenn Campbell and Roy Clark and Andy Williams and all those guys, so much of it. it was done fast, man. Building code, what the hell is that? So a lot of the places are kind of held together with popsicle sticks and duct tape. Not all, not saying that, but again, things went up fast. But it is a shame. But again, it still boils down to revenue, right? Um, and it sucks. It does because like with the Legends Theater, they're like the top tier uh, cover artist impersonators. It's a traveling show between here and Vegas and a couple other spots. But they get some really great entertainers performing the roles of some of the biggest stars of all time. And they do great. And it used to be Dick Clark's Legends Theater. Well, now, since, the demise of Dick Clark and moving forward, now Pepsi picked up the sponsorship. So what used to be at the top of the marquee was a little round picture of Dick Clark. Uh, it's round. There we go. So it was Dick Clark, but now it's the Pepsi emblem. So it's like, yeah, just how it goes. Like when arenas change names, things like that due to sponsorships. And it is what it is. It's business. But to not have Dick Clark's place on the strip in Branson took a little while to get used to that. But I would never refer to it as Pepsi's Legends Theater. No, not really. And it's, if you're not familiar, it's located right across the street from Dolly Parton's Stampede, formerly Dolly Parton's Dixie Stampede. But then she decided it was time at some point to dump the Dixie because of all the offensiveness tied to the word Dixie, which is absurd. But because the show stayed the same as far as like the battle between the North and the South that was played out in the rodeo arena where everybody's sitting around eating with their fingers the rotisserie chicken and all this other stuff. So whatever, it's like do your thing, man. But the soup's still very good. It's like the one thing that everybody clamors over there at the Dixie Stamp, oh, excuse me, the Stampede, is the chicken soup, and it is really good. Well, what's funny about, you know, um, I can only go at this point with the things that we're seeing online and some things that are in the headlines. That Branson, and it's been in a hard transition now for quite a few years. When I lived up there from 2006 to 2008 and participated solely in the retail sector of things, um, just seeing the change in that because 2006, I guess, towards the end, somewhere off in there, whenever the Branson Landing actually came to life, and Gar, what that is like a waterfront shopping district they had put together with condos so people could like rent the condos and live there and have that whole um, Wisconsin Dells type feel, Uh, it is what it is, but I know a lot of the way it was built and constructed and everything, the buildings aren't necessarily all that great. Can't say one way or the other, but I know the ones that I have participated in, there are a lot of issues, but I'm not saying for all. It's allegedly. I'll leave it at that. But once that happened was when Branson saw what I saw as one of the biggest shifts of the draw of Branson, because Branson was known as the outlet stores, right? You could go get like the seconds or the clearance or the closeout stuff at a remarkably discounted price, and people would come far and wide to make that part of their vacation experience. They would come see the shows, like Andy Williams when he was still alive, or Yakov Smirnoff, which is he's still there, still doing his thing. He's got the Yakov Smirnoff Theater. He's probably one of the last names in town, actually. I think about it. As far as the 20th century stars, if you will. So, and he just had a baby. Well, he didn't have a baby. His wife had a baby not too terribly long ago, and he's like 70 something. So, yeah, only in America, right? But yeah, I can't think of. There's not most of the other shows now are like tribute stuffs. But going back to the whole thing with like the retail shift when it went from the when it went from the outlet model into all full pop retail, that was a hit. It took away that jazz and brand. But once the landing came in, it gave everybody else the excuse to go full retail pop, and so that was a big one. And yeah, Andy Williams, I never got the opportunity to work with Andy, which was kind of a bummer. However, I did get the opportunity to work with his brother Bob. And if you're familiar with the Williams brothers, they all kind of look the same. And as they got older, they really looked the same. And Bob was a charming fellow, of course, but he had gotten himself into the timeshare business, or excuse me, real estate. But and that's how I got to know him because when I first moved up there in 2006, like everybody else, I'm looking for a job, looking for a gig, anything I could do. Started off doing some vacation planning stuff at Big Cedar Lodge, and then wound up trying to like, okay, I gotta like make more money to live. Got suckered into the whole vacation club, not timeshare anymore, vacation club stuff. And he was at one of the outfits there, and so I got to work with him. Just a charming fellow and tiny. The Williams brothers were quite small. So anyway, but that was kind of cool. And because again, at first glance, and since they'd all gotten older, hell, they all looked alike. And so at first glance, but Bob used that very well. Because now the people of that generation who enjoyed seeing the Andy Williams show, and when his brothers were on with him and they would do their thing, he would milk that. Man, he'd milk that. Mm-mm-mm. Yep. So it it was cool. It really was. I mean, there's something about like Dick Clark with his theater there, or what was named after him there, for the longest time. It was funny. I never knew of Dick to come to town ever. I think Ed McMahon made quite a few appearances over the years in Branson, but never Dick Clark. Huh? Interesting. Now I think about that, but I don't know. But it's cool having Branson in our backyard here in Harrison. I've always seen it that way. A lot of folks around these parts, though, do not see it that way, and I don't get that. Because the people who feel they're trapped in the small market, small town hell, there's nothing to do. Dude, 30 minutes up the road, it's all highway now, 4 lane. You can get up there, I mean, literally quick, and you got a great playground. Of course, now prices have adjusted, and it's a little bit more expensive to do the simple things. But when you're local, if you're in Harrison and Boone County, a lot of the places offer like local discounts for shows and such. And not nearly enough people take advantage of that. Because even with like, we'll say and I mean this as respectfully as I can, but like the no-name acts who are doing like tribute shows and things like that, or the family shows, like the Presleys or the Bald Knobbers or any of those guys, um, go see it. Live entertainment is always going to be a wonderful experience. It is good, bad, and different at the end of the day. And a lot of the shows, they're all structured the same. Every single one of them. They're you can pretty much guarantee from how it doesn't matter. They're all structured exactly the same. You got Act One where they set you up, build up the energy, everything is awesome, and then we're going to do the intermission. And the intermission is so you can go shop the gift shop, go meet all the do a little mini meet and greet with the performers and entertainers and such, buy some of their merch and all that, go back to the concession stand, go to the potty, and then come back for Act Two. And when we get to Act Two is where you're going to get, for sure, a Veterans Salute tribute thing. That's going to happen. And then going to normally close with the gospel number. Now you're either going to get a gospel number or the veterans thing. It just they kind of wrote they'll flip that around a little bit, but that's the Branson show formula. And then of course after the show, you can meet and greet with all the entertainers and everything. And honestly, everybody did it. It's like no matter how big their name was or wasn't, they would all follow that same format because it worked and it made people very happy. People got to make some great memories and enjoy some stuff. Now, like the one-off shows that would come to town, like Don Williams. If you're familiar with Don Williams, country music, the gentle giant, love Don Williams. Anyway, but now that's still more of a concert experience, so you don't really do the intermission and the meet and greet stuff just so open and willy nilly as the in-town house shows would do. But anyway, but it was again, it's been great to have been around and a part of that for a long time now. That I was actually that dream job thing I was telling you guys about. It was actually with one of the outfits up there. Didn't materialize, but that's okay because actually, what has materialized since is better. It's so much better. And the coolest thing about it is a lot of the things that I would have done in that particular endeavor are very similar, except this is truly better. Number one, it's close to home. I live like 4 miles from the Hotel Seville. So it's just right up the road, maybe 3 miles, but it's very, very close. So that's always nice. And I'm not in an office situation. I'm totally free willing, doing what and where I want. I don't have to go clock in or anything like that. But yeah. So anyways, there's that. But it gives me the opportunity to focus in solely on promotion and marketing. And that is like the coolest thing in the world to me because now I've got a bend that I'm crossing right now into to where I get to focus on just that. And so I'm working on my brain to be able to do that again instead of doing a million things. And again, this is where I come back to the philosophy that I've tried to share with people out there as far as building like a three-pillar system. And I've got one product, one service, and one project, and they're still exactly as they are. The one product, of course, is the book Toys or Totems, and then the project is still the virtual stump that I am going to scale back more state level from, well, focus more back on the local and less state because the resources time wise just they're just not lining up. That could change after the primaries though, because once all that gets weeded down and then we've just got very specific races to focus on for November and issues, we'll go from there and we'll see what happens. Because again, civically minded, it's what I can do. And like I did yesterday with Micah Ashby, audio glitches aside, it's the news guy in me, right? And then the service though is going to shift over. I'm going to still continue to offer up the evergreen content system and services, but that's going to be more hands off and training to where I just put the course together so people can self walk through it. Or if they've got questions, we can work things out like that. But as far as a service on the street, I didn't really want to do that anyway because again, it's like man, you get tied to an indie client one off things. They can get to be a very time consuming thing. But now that service is now being directly focused in one general direction, and that would be for the 1929 Hotel Seville. And again, the creative liberties I've been given, I do not take lightly because, yeah, this is quite the team and the crew. Oh my gosh. Well, sometimes you got to slow down, and a broken toe can be the thing to do that for you, Damien. Slowing down just a little bit. Well, that's cool that they're in Gainesville. There are places for live performances. We need to, yeah, the big shopping malls. Just kind of getting caught up in the comments, y'all. Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, and the Battlefield Mall in Springfield, we love going up there. Now, it's funny though because again, it's not that far. It's like what 45 minutes to Springfield, especially if Alicia's driving. Um, but I enjoy going up there for that mall experience because it's still an indoor mall and it's like you get especially during the holidays, you'll get like that real flat 90s flashback, as far as the way we've got everything set up and decorated and all that. So it's kind of cool to go up there and do that type of stuff. But anyway, um, I don't know. That's cool. We got so much cool stuff around here, though. Like I say, it's been interesting to watch the things that have came and gone and the people. And again, the little moments for me personally, like um, yeah, on the strip in Branson, where there used to be the Branson Mall. I can't remember what the official name was anymore right now. But anyways, where there's a Walmart, but there was an indoor mall where there was a Ruby Tuesday, along with some other shops. There was a music store in there. I think there was a clothing store. The radio station had a remote studio in there. There was also another auditorium inside where a fellow by the name of Gene Williams hosted the Gene Williams Lucas Oil talk show, interviewing all the entertainers and such that went on for decades. And other stuff. And then there was in the middle of the mall, there was a round stage for like circle in the round type performances from some of the folks who weren't necessarily in the shows, but they were roaming entertainers. And that was so fun because they would come in and just do the thing, man. No admission or anything like that, playing for tips. And you could sit around and just watch and enjoy them, and the food court stuff was there. But the tornado changed all that. But rumor has it that they're working on building that back up. Anyway, but going back to like 2006 to 2008 when I was up there, Ruby Tuesday, the one there that was at the mall, that one was great because there was a little lounge that had been built that was mainly meant for like the entertainers and such to kind of get out, but kind of hide away. And it was a very cool lounge. Imagine it's all dark though, like the black walls and the black leather front. It was like a perfect cigar lounge, right? When you could still do that indoors. Um, but it was great and it was cool because I had come to know of it from one of the guys I was working with, and we would do that. We would go up there. Nobody else knew it was there. It's like everybody had forgotten about it. So we would go up there and hang out in our personal little den there at the mall, and it was cool. But then like be sitting at the bar, my younger days when I could do that without ramifications. Um, and hang out with folks like the guys from the Oak Ridge Boys, or some of the guys, like well, Joe Bonzel and Richard, the bass singer. I forgot his last name off the top of my head. And of course, now William Lee Golden. He wasn't one to hang out at the bar, but I'd see him, and it was so funny. There was one time at that skeezy I call it skeezy Walmart. Nobody else does. It's just my own term for it. But the skeezy Walmart there, and it was so funny because he was walking around. William Lee Golden. He's the one with the beard, right? But Bill, he had a cart, shopping cart, and it was stacked high with bottles of wine. And I was like, dang, are you thirsty, Bill? He said, a little. It was a great moment. You had to be there and everything. But again, the opportunity to just kind of sit around and bullshit with the guys and have a drink or two. And again, the Oak Ridge Boys, for me, they were like one of those really big, huge groups because why? They were on the Dukes of Hazzard. Remember when that happened? And so that got ingrained in my head very early on. And so it was cool to, yeah, it was fun. Mm-hmm. Yep, good times. Yeah, the whole we look back and all the changes once they broke the planet in 2020 and the things that some are trying to come back, a lot have, but it's just not the same, as far as like having the servers and the more hands-on stuff because it's just we lost a big chunk of the people who would do things. Anyway, I don't know. Well, gentlemen, I got errands to run this morning and I want to get them all done early. So I'm going to slide out of here. We'll meet again in the morning. We'll see you tonight, though. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, if you're coming into the show and you're not familiar with Horrible Horror starring Gar the Ghoul on Twitch TV on Saturday nights, my God, I just made your life better by telling you that. Join them tonight, Twitch TV, Horrible Horror with Gar the Ghoul. Again, I know I'm going to slide up in there, try to do a little chatting, but I always, now that I've got everything set up here, Horrible Horror is right here on this screen. And so I get to watch and play and enjoy and occasionally say something pithy that is not necessarily brilliant nor useful, but I chime in from time to time, and it's fine. Anyway, guys, have a great one, man, and we'll play again in the morning, and look forward to seeing you guys tonight on Horrible Horror.
I was riding on a Sunday, twitching for a spike. Found a predatory pixel that I figured I'd like. Bet a bug called his wealth, that's a lie they spin.